So this is a 2004A pulpit lift. It's one of the very first pulpit lift models that I manufactured and supplied to the church. It has you can identify it because it has the aluminum extrusion legs and the exposed actuator in the middle. Well, we can upgrade this lift to the smarter, faster actuator used in the 2022A model lifts available today. Okay, let's just go over this. So this is the lift itself. You've got the control relays down here. You've got the CB9 control box here with the related cords. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the base of the lift with a new base plate. This is a universal base plate that will allow me to upgrade 2004, 2005, and 2006 lifts. Early 2006, built before 2012. There's another base plate for after 2012. This is an adapter which adapts the square lift to the mounting holes where the round blue ring mounts. So that's that adapter plate right there. This is a new top plate with windows for your microphone cables and such to go down through the lift. This is the new DL17 lift, which is used in the PL2022s. This is a CBD6 control box, a smarter control box that allows us to use all kinds of different controls in addition to the Bishop's control panel. Power cord, screw kits, screws for attaching the lift or the lift to the base and top plate, screws for attaching the top plate to the adapter, screws for attaching the new relays, motor cable, Cat 5 control cable, the desk panel for programming the upper limit of the lift, 2 relays. These are new style relays with the manual overrides. The old green relays don't have that, and the old green and white relays aren't made anymore. And these are the related end stops to hold the relays on. Okay, so we're going to go through converting this lift to the new PL2022 type internal mechanisms. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do when upgrading this lift is to remove the lift from the cabinet and get it someplace where you can work on it. After you've done that, well, one of the first steps to do that is to disconnect the control box. So let's look at that. So we have this control box and it's got these 3 cables. All right, it also has a locking mechanism that keeps these cables from being pulled out. So we have to remove that locking mechanism. That locking mechanism looks like this, and it has these 3 legs on it that connect to a bracket on the control box. So we're going to take a little screwdriver, and down here there's a pad, a little bracket right there. Let's get some light on this. Okay, so if I put my screwdriver in here and I pry this bracket down, I can push that tab out of the way. See if I can do this on camera. There we go. So now that one's loose. And here we have a bigger tab, and that's gonna release the middle one. And over here we have another tab which I'm going to pry out, and then the clip is loose. Now I can remove these cables. Okay, Now this power cord has a red tab right here and right here. This is a little more tricky. This controller, you can see, has got a bad transformer. So I push on this tab and hold it in. Let's see if we can do this. And then I pull the cable kind of out at an angle to hold that tab. And then while I'm doing that, I push the other tab in, and then I can pull the cable out. You see how those tabs work. Okay, so now my control box is free. Alright, so you can see I've got some tools here. Basically a small flat screwdriver, small Phillips screwdriver, wire cutters. I have a 1/4 inch ratchet with an adapter to go to 1/4 inch hex bits. And I have a hex bit set back here. To do this, you're going to need a T30, T25, 4mm, and a 5/32 bit. Alright, so now we can start to disassemble the lift itself. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the relays off. So we've got some end stops here. You might not have these, but I happen to, so I got to loosen these screws. And then I can lift the end stop off. Alright, now I'm going to disconnect the wires for the pulpit lift. Green and red are up, white and orange are down. Okay, now to take these relays off, if I push over to the left and then I tip the left side out, then the relay comes off. Again, push over, the relay comes off. Here's another end stop down here. So loosen the screws, take that off. 4mm ratchet or hex. I can loosen these guys. Take that off. Okay. You see these nuts right here? They'll come up and out the top of the slot. Let's raise you up here. So the nut that's in here looks like this. I'm going to take that and just slide it up out of the top of the lift. There. Set those aside with the control box. Snip all the zip ties. Don't necessarily need to snip that one, but okay. Now we'll take the top plate off. So the top plate has 4 socket head cap screws that use a 4mm hex wrench. We don't need to worry about these. Now this slide on this side is attached to this top plate. So when I take it off, I need to be cognizant that that's going to move around. Okay, so now this top plate will come off. And we'll set that aside. Keep the screws. We need these screws. Here's the spring. We don't need that anymore. We'll set that aside. This is the spring cup and the actuator. What our goal is to take off all of this aluminum structure off of the base plate. Now, I can take this off and set it aside for later. I can take this one off, set it aside. Okay. So now I can put the the lift down, and I'm going to remove these 4 screws. Also 4mm hex. Save the screws, gonna need them. Yes, you could use a power tool to do this. I usually don't. So there, now we've got that separated from the lift. We'll set that lift aside, and now we'll start to assemble So we've got our base plate here and the screws that we just took out. So I put the top plate there, turn the frame upside down, Okay, so now we've got the base plate attached. So this part of the base plate with the 2 screws here for the relays. This is the front of the lift. When I put the DL17, I like the cord to come out right here out the front next to the relays. So if I'm going to mount this cord is going to come out towards the relays. So in this case I've got it in the back, so I'll put these 2 holes in the back and I'll mount this. This takes a 4mm screw. So we'll lay it down to put the actuator on. You could put the plate to the actuator first, it doesn't make any difference. Okay. So now we've got the actuator mounted to the base plate. Alright. Now we can put our slide pieces back in. And then we'll mount this piece to the top. So we've got a square actuator and we're going to mount this guy to the top of here. It does matter. You want this hole to either be forwards or up or down, not sideways. Don't mount it like this. Mount it this way or this way. I don't really like to use the power tools on this because if you cross thread a screw, you're just gonna make a mess. And it'll be expensive to clean up. So there we have the adapter mounted with the 4 screws. And the top plate has these 3 screws to match with 3 holes in the top. These take a 1/4 inch 1/4 screw flathead. So that's a 5/32. So now we need to connect the slides to the top plate. Okay, so we've replaced the top plate here on the lift. We've replaced the safety switch mechanism, and we have this round to square adapter right here. And now we're ready to put the relays on the bottom of the lift here. So I've got this cord coming out the front, so I'm going to tuck it over there to the side. Alright, so now we're going to put this relay base and DIN rail onto the base plate where these two holes are located. So that's going to take a 3/32 Allen wrench, X wrench. Oops. So I've got the DIN rail pushed right up against this plate. While I'm at it, I can start these screws for the cover. Okay, so now we're gonna see if we can get a good shot here. So I want to put one of these end stops on the DIN rail and tighten it up with a straight screwdriver. Okay, so it clips on the DIN rail here, and then when you tighten the screw, it pinches the nut up against the DIN rail on the other side. These relays have spring-loaded feet underneath them, and so we're going to put this down relay, so the arrow pointing towards the C is down. Put it on the clippy side, the spring side, and then pull it back. Put it on the spring side, and then pull it back until it clips on. And then put the last end stop on. Again, you could do this in various orders, so you could do this first if you wanted to, so it would be easier. Okay, and this is kind of a tight space here. So now this is where I need to hook up my Cat 5 cable. Okay, so my Cat 5 cable, it has labels on it. The orange wires are down, the green wires are up. The orange and white and the green and white are trimmed shorter, so we'll put those in the open connection. And the orange and green go in 24. So now we can tuck that back in there like that. Okay. Then we can connect our motor cable. It's keyed, it can only go in one direction. Then we're going to connect our motor cable into port 1. We're going to connect the Cat 5 cable into either. I'm just going to use A2. Okay, now that's all connected. Now we're going to connect our power cord. I'm not going to undo it all the way because I don't need it. Save this cable, this tie, and tie it back up. Power cable connects to this port, obviously. And then we can plug it in. The desk panel will plug into port A, the open port, in this case A1. We'll press the store button once. We'll press the down button, and it moved the actuator just a little bit down to 0 it. And now if I use that button, the lift will go up. And once it's all the way up, I'm going to press the S and hold it, and I'm going to press the number 1, and then I'm going to let go. Now that's stored the upper limit, so I can use the down arrow or the number and the number 1. My relays, remember I have manual override on my relays, so if I use the down, it will run it the lift down. If I use the up, it will run the lift up. So I'm running it all the way down right now. Okay. So then there's the door to put on and tighten. And now we've upgraded the 2004 lift to be equivalent to a 2022A lift. Fast and quiet. And now we can use all the other controls, paddle controls, Bluetooth controls, membrane disc controls, all of that, plus the church sound systems with this lift. Thank you for watching.